right, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party has vowed not to back down in seeking justice, as he says he will appeal the verdict of the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal delivered on Wednesday. Peter Obi said this yesterday, Thursday, at a press conference in Onitsha, Anambra State. Now, while reacting to the five-man panel judgment led by Justice Haruna Samani, which upheld the victory of President Bola Tinubu. Well, let me take the liberty to quote what Peter Obi said this morning. He said, I quote, "The Presidential Election Petition Court, PEPC, finally delivered its long-awaited judgment on the petitions challenging the outcome of the presidential election held on 25 February 2023. Now, this judgment was delivered within the statutory time frame under the extant statutes. We acknowledge the court's contributions to due process and the seeming attempt to strengthen our democracy. As petitioners in this case, we respect the views and rulings of the court, but we disagree with the court's reasoning and conclusions in the judgment it delivered." End quote. Well, joining us virtually to discuss this is Nelson Ekujimi, who is a public affairs commentator. We do expect to have another guest, Olayinka Ola Daniels. All right, so we understand that Olayinka Ola Daniels is in as well. All right, so good morning, Nelson. Good morning, Olayinka. Barrister Olayinka, I beg your pardon. All right, so
good morning. Good morning.
All right, I'm hearing you faintly, but I'm sure that's a problem from our reception here, which we will fix in due time. Well, welcome to the program. It's a day after the verdict, 2 days after. It was 2 days after the verdict. 2 days after the verdict, and those involved are saying, the APC, and I beg your pardon, the PDP and the Labour Party are saying, look, we are not accepting this. We are taking this up. We are going higher because this judgment, in as much as the judges did their best, but this is not what we want, so we are taking it. Now, what do you make of the fact that they are taking this? Why people like Governor Yahya Bello and some others have said, look, there is absolutely no need for appeal. It's a waste of time. The president has also said, look, let's come together. Let's work together. Let's build a nation. Tell your supporters to come on board. Let's work together. What do you make of all of it? Well, we can't exactly hear you. I don't know if that's we seem to have a network jam there. We can't hear your barrister Olayinka Ola Daniels, but we'll just take a bit, and rectify that. If you can hear us, let's have your take on this. But if you can't,
I can hear you.
Yes,
I can hear you.
Okay, we can hear you now.
All right. Well, the judgment is not, it didn't come as a surprise to some of us, because some of the decisions of the tribunal were some of the things we had said in the past. And, it's unfortunate because it's so sad to hear the tribunal lecturing SANs, senior advocates of Nigeria. Why? Because some things were not properly done. We are lawyers. The client comes to me and it does not have a good case. It is in my own power to explain to the client that you do not have a good case, and that there's a better way in which we can resolve this. But then, when I know my client does not have a good case, then what I do, I still go ahead to court just because, probably for my own personal gain or otherwise, and still go to court to file some frivolous, applications in court. It is saddened. I must say, I'm really, really sad about this, because one, we must understand that judiciary, the court is not a federal Christmas. The court is not to give you what you never asked for. And you were in court. You said you you claimed that the election was rigged, and when you say it was rigged, you mentioned that the election was rigged generally, and you are in court and you cannot even prove where the election was rigged, and you are in court, you cannot even present any document to show cause that the elections was rigged. And look, the courts deal with facts and law and evidence. We all know, if you're a lawyer, you know the position of the Evidence Act. You're not going to bring, a document from Amazon.com and expect the court to uphold that, or such, document to be tenable, in court. So some of these things, some of us were really, really sad, because some of these people are senior advocates. They are our seniors, and we expect that they know better, and they should handle this matter better than the way they have handled it. In fact, I was shocked, because by the time the court was, started reading the judgment, we were shocked. With all the noise from the Labour Party, from PDP, we expected that they have so much to bring before the court. Unfortunately, we're disappointed at what they brought before the court. And it's sad. If they want to go to Supreme Court, well, it is in the comfort of their right to go to Supreme Court. If you are not satisfied, Supreme Court is the next stage to go to. But to me, it's going to be an academic exercise in futility, because it is clear from the judgment of the tribunal. It is, in fact, it's a well-researched judgment. It's not a judgment that, if you notice that the judgment was not given even the date, it was extended because of some of the work they had to do. A well-researched judgment from the tribunal. So it is sad that judgment, they had to lecture senior advocates on this particular judgment. There's people of the school of thought that believe that, we're being hard on the lawyers. But for me, like I said, I am a lawyer, and I know when my client comes to me, I advise them appropriately. If this case is a bad one, or you don't have a case, I tell them, and we find alternative way in resolving it, rather than them going to court to waste the time of the court, waste the time of Nigerians. And again, thank God that, the way God has helped us in this country, see the way they have gone about this whole thing. It could have caused, only God knows what that would have cost in Nigeria. With all the noise, with all the threats everywhere, even against the judiciary. We'll see the outcome of the tribunal, see the outcome of the judgment. It is sad. It is sad.
Okay, thanks for your view there. We have Nelson Kujimi online as well. Good morning to you, Nelson. Welcome on board. Now, Nelson, I'm going to ask you quickly, what's your take really, the fact that the parties involved, the Labour Party and PDP, insisting on continuing pursuance of their grievances? Do you think it should be done, or do you think they should rest it and move on? Nelson?
Can you hear me? I hope I'm clear.
Yes.
I hope I'm clear.
Yes, we can hear you now. Nelson, we seem to have a glitch with your network. Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes, it is within their rights, to pursue the case to. I said it is within their rights to pursue the case further, to the last, bus stop, which is the Supreme Court. But we all were, we're all awake, or we kept abreast. I, for example, I spent about 13 hours.
Nelson, let me quickly ask you, were you disappointed when the ruling was being given? Were you disappointed that the
And for
parties
me, the
involved?
judgment was very
Okay,
logical. Yeah.
okay.
I had followed the
All right, we obviously are having a problem with
proceedings of the
your
tribunal.
network.
And if you read a lot of my write-ups, my 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 amusement, my amusement was that a party went to court in an election conducted in 176,606 polling units and never tendered every and the INEC has rigged. You heard the judge.
All right.
The LP claimed to have, deployed 133,000 units from EC8 for the results was tendered to show that the election was, altered or the election was rigged. So I was not surprised because I had followed, and for some of us, it's what that judgment has done, is to enrich our electoral jurisprudence. I'm happy that even lawyers who most of the time were doing their own presentation before the media rather than the court were shown their report card, on judgment day. Because you had the Labour Party councils, anytime the panel concludes the sitting, they always rush to the media and they raise up all sorts of allegations and to desecrate the institution of the bar. Because I expect that as a senior advocate of Nigeria, you represent you mirror what the bar is all about. But listening to that judgment, a lot of us were just laughing at what manner of a petition is this, where a petitioner was expecting the person you had alleged to come and help you to supply evidence to buttress your case. It was so nauseating to the extent that one of the judges said they didn't tender any evidence. They continue to claim I rev. That did they expect the tribunal to go to the streets or to the market to go and look for evidence for them? That if you have alleged that a party has stolen, if for example, I own a car, if I complain that my car has been stolen and I go to the police station, is it not right that I should present documents in my car? If I go to a police station to say my car was stolen, and the policeman said, what is the make of your car? What is the registration number? And I said, oh, let us go to the bus stop. Maybe we'll see one of the cars and I'll be able to recognize would that look stupid? So for me, that judgment was very sound. It was intellectual. It was detailed. It was based on the point of law. And the fact remains, like by Solayinka Oladanes has rightly said.
Okay.
The tribunal was set up to adjudicate on a matter in consonance, in conformity with the provisions of the law, not in conformity with whatever any party has said. And you can see how the judgment, explained thoroughly every point by the respondents. And the court, I wasn't disappointed that followed through. This was a judgment we had expected would come.
All right then.
Thank you so much.
But we never knew that,
Nelson,
the
unfortunately,
petitioners will make a mockery of our electoral petition. This is
unfortunately, Nelson, we are having problems with the quality of the audio there, so it keeps going in and out. A few things that you said were missed, unfortunately. So you just might help to change location. Maybe that will help the quality of the audio and the video, so we can take you better and get your thoughts in better.
Very well. Ola Daniels, Are you still there?
Okay, let me try and do that. Let me
All
try and
right,
do
do
that.
that
Let me
then.
try and do
Okay,
that.
thank you so much. Ola Daniels, from the
Yes.
okay, from the perspective of a legal practitioner, what are the grounds, of appeal, to the Supreme Court? Because for a party who couldn't even provide enough evidence, in lower courts, how do they now think they can go to the appeal to the Supreme Court, and still get the justice they seek? Do they now have enough evidence all of a sudden? Or, make sense of all of this to me, Ola Daniels.
Well, unfortunately, the Supreme Court does not entertain witnesses. You are not presenting any evidence in Supreme Court. You have done that at the trial court, at the tribunal. So, reason why some of us are saying, look, from the judgment of the tribunal, I do not see any reason why she should waste the time of Nigerians and the time of the Supreme Court to say you want to go to Supreme Court to appeal the judgment of the tribunal. Because going to the Supreme Court, you're not going to present any witness. So what do you want to do in Supreme Court? How do you want to plead your case in Supreme Court? When the LP came out to say, we read that they were saying, no, they are going to Supreme Court, that the judgment is not, they are not satisfied with the judgment. And some of us, we laughed. And we asked, is it that the lawyers of some of these people don't advise them and don't tell them the truth? Because if their lawyers tell them the truth, we will not be saying this. As a Nigerian, as a patriot, I will advise the LP and the PDP to just work together with the current administration and to see how we can move forward the nation. But as a lawyer, I will advise, as a lawyer, I will say, look, it is in the comfort of your right. You have every right to go to Supreme Court. Now, sometimes, okay, look at what has happened. Part of the judgment, they're supposed to pay, some of them are supposed to pay some, they're supposed to pay some fine, some money, so that this will teach people not to just bring frivolous matters to court, to waste the time of the court. Teach the litigants and also their lawyers that, look, the court is not just there to, the court is not less busy to waste its time in, attending to non-issues. So going to Supreme Court, it is their right. But I would say...
Now, yes, it's their right indeed. You call it frivolous lawsuits, but the aggrieved would not think of it that way. Now, what I heard, or what I perceived that the court said was they were not able to prove certain of these things. They were not able to prove overvoting. They were not able to prove. That's not to say that they didn't present anything, all right? Maybe what they presented, my understanding of it, was what they presented was not convincing enough for the courts. Now, do you think that probably, because after everything, some Nigerians were like, really? Was it that they didn't do their homework well? What have they been doing? What were the lawyers of the Labour Party doing? Right? So those were the thoughts of some Nigerians. Like, really, were they working? They just went there to waste our time. Now, the question I'm going to ask you, do you think if the proceedings had been televised live, maybe then we would have understood. Maybe then Nigerians would have said, okay, this were the things they presented. Now, in as much as Nigerians would not be the ones to give the verdicts, but Nigerians would have understood the kind of work that they put in, whether it was enough for Nigerians to continue to cheer after them, or just say, look, let's fold our mats and, go sleep. Barrister?
Let me say this. When you say that when you say that maybe they proved it and the court was not satisfied, How do you prove, for instance, you claim that there were rigging in almost everywhere, that the election was rigged generally, right? Now, good. If you claim the elections were rigged, then it bestowed on you to present, to tell the court where, okay, by what number? Did you present that? No. By what number? You do not have. Okay, where and where? In all the states, which local, which wards, how many wards, how many, units, at what number were this election rigged? Because that was what the judgment says. Because if they had presented this thing, I'm sure the judgment will state same. But the judgment it made us to understand that, look, you had not shown cause, no proof to say, okay, you didn't, no number, you didn't even give any number. It doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. I cannot say, okay, that you accuse me of something, maybe school or something, you accuse me of something, and I cannot, I have no document to present to you to say, okay, this is it. I did not, okay, for instance, I have a car, and car is stolen. And I cannot present license. I cannot present the vehicle details of my car to the police so that they will be able to help, retrieve my car. So how will they retrieve my car if I have given them no information on how to retrieve my car? So this is simple. So if you're going to Supreme Court, what are you taking to Supreme Court? If you say you are not satisfied with the judgment, what are you taking to Supreme Court? What are you, going to do? What are the issues you want to present before Supreme Court?
Barrister, sorry to interject, but before people even go to court in the first place, and put out petitions and all of that to the court, I'm sure they have some kind of legal advice. They have legal advisors and all of that, because this is basic knowledge to everybody. Everybody knows that before you go to court, you should have evidence. So how is it that they did not have sufficient evidence? Didn't they? Were there no legal practitioners involved in all of this to advise the LP as well as the PDP rightly enough for them to know that they needed substantial, evidence in the court of law before going ahead to do anything there?
Thank you. That is the reason why some of us are surprised. That is why we said some of us are sad when the tribunal started lecturing the lawyers, the senior advocates, that, look, is it that you did not do your homework well? Because that is a question we are still asking them. Is it that they didn't advise, their clients very well? Is it that they did not get, okay, fine, so someone relying on maybe document from Udemy in court, someone relying on Amazon.com in court? We know the Provision of Evidence Act. The SAN, the Senior Advocates of Nigeria that were in court or that filed those applications, know the Provision of Evidence Act. They know evidence that are admissible in court. So now, look, court has no business with sentiments or emotions. It's law, fact, evidence. If you cannot prove your case beyond reasonable doubt, if you cannot prove your case to say, okay, they say, oh, Assad must prove. You are the one that comes to say election was rigged. You are the one that says INEC did not do, did not carry out, out their duty. Then you need to prove it. You are mixing out regulations and rules with laws. The law made provision for beavers, but not for IREC. IREC is not a collation center. The judgment made it clear. So meaning, and you should know better. So some of the arguments, some of the things, before the court is so clear, is so glaring. So if we just want to, it's said we're just being mischievous, or we just want to waste the time of Nigeria, or
All
waste
right.
the time of the court, or we just want to try. All these politicians, they have a way of taking, a politician can take one particular case to 10 different courts of the same coordinate jurisdiction. They are very good at it. That if this one does not favor me, that one will favor me. And this is tribunal. You can't even think of doing that because this is just one court for this particular thing. So you cannot go to different courts to seek redress on this particular issue. But however, they have done this, and it's sad. We can all see the outcome of the result. So saying that, they've proved, I do not think they have proved their case. The well-researched judgment carried out, given by the tribunal. I'm even a layman, someone that is not a lawyer, that will hear what came out from the mouth of those judges. We say no, they have done well. So I'm just waiting. Issue. I'm waiting for them.
All right then.
See how it goes.
All right, so we'll see how it goes indeed. Nigerians are waiting. Nigerians are really, we want this to end and let this administration continue. If the administration has to continue, let them just, do the work that Nigerians want them to do. Nelson, I'm going to ask you quickly. Now, Nelson, I believe you're still with us. All right, great. So, quickly now, if you were to advise, as an analyst, if you were to advise the parties involved, talking about the PDP and the Labour Party, moving forward, since they say they want to take this case up to the Supreme Court level, what do you think they should do differently when they approach the Supreme Court? Nelson.
Are you there, Nelson?
All right, we don't seem to have his audio, unfortunately. So I'm going to come back to you, Barrister. Now, what happens to the fines that they've been given? Now, we have the fines, we have APM. APM has been given 13.6 million. Labour Party has been awarded 47.9 million, and the PDP 23.3 million. What happens to those fines? Is there a time frame for when it should be paid? And with or without the appeal, what will happen to the fines? Barrister?
They will have to pay. They will have to pay the fine.
Oh, okay.
Don't forget that this is not the first time it's happening. I remember when our senior advocate filed some frivolous application at the Supreme Court. They were slammed, 10 million each. So they had to pay. So this is not the first. And like I said,
is there a time frame?
This will sound it will sound as a warning, and it will stop all this. Undeterred and very frivolous and unresearched cases that people bring before the court to waste the time of the court and Nigerians. So it is a good one. It's a welcome development, and it is a good one because people need to know. They need to understand that, look, if I have to go to court, I must have a genuine reason to go to court. I am not going to court to waste the time of the court. People need to understand this. So they need to pay, and I'm very sure they cannot be heard in Supreme Court if that money is not paid. Except they want to appeal, that also, but I doubt if that will fly.
All right then.
All right, thank you so much, Barrister. Please stay with us because we have another story coming up. Up next on VOP this morning, it was a sorrowful day for the family of Atonda as their daughter, who is a student of the Federal University of Oye-Ekiti, Modupe, was found dead after several days of searching for her. You know, really sad indeed. Details when we return.